Good day to you, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Darzon, and today I would like to talk about financial futures. I'd like to first preface this that I am not a financial planner or advisor, so take everything with a grain of salt. These are only practices that I am doing in my experience and how I have learned through the 20 years of going through heavy financial debt and getting out of that financial debt and then becoming financially independent. But if anything you take away from today, the most important thing is save. So we'll get into this a little bit more. So the first question is, are you saving? Are you putting money away? Do you have a rainy day fund? Are you diversified in the way you're saving? Do you have a retirement plan? It is important, especially what we've experienced, to have a rainy day fund. We all know what happened last year when COVID hit. A lot of us were out of work for quite a while. I myself was out of work for a year and a half plus. I mean, there was bits and pieces, and there were definitely times where I was rather concerned and worried, like, if this is the norm, and if this is the norm, what do I need to do? Do I need to change my industry, my work, because I actually really enjoy this work. But the main reason why I persevered through it without too much concern was because I had a decent amount of money saved and put aside for my rainy day fund for both myself and my business. So looking at rainy day funds, I've always thought 6 months was kind of like the standard. That's kind of what you want to have saved. Given what happened during COVID, I almost feel like maybe 12 months is the new norm, because what if another pandemic hits? Something harsher, stronger than COVID. Knock on wood. Looking at a rainy day fund, the most important thing is identifying what is necessary and what is not necessary. The necessary things, of course, are like food for yourself, food for your partner, whatever. And food for your pets if you have pets. Goldfish still need to eat, or you can eat the goldfish. You obviously have rent or mortgage. These are certain things that you have to pay for, the bills, the utilities. I also want you to think about entertainment. A certain amount of entertainment funds should be necessary, because if you didn't have money for entertainment, you would probably be going mad. Stir mad, mad crazy, crazy mad. Lost track of time mad. Think about those, write it down, do the monthly calculations. Myself and my wife, we have a monthly tracking, and we go over it a couple times a year to update the utility costs so that we always know what our necessary fund requirements are, so that we have an idea of these are necessary expenses, how much are they year to year, month to month, so that you can figure out how many months would 6 months require, how much money would that really mean. And also think about, of course, what is not necessary. And I also definitely recommend some way of saving. I use a few different methods to save money. I myself actually am a LLC, and we'll get into this a little bit more. So I have a retirement through my LLC, and I put money into my LLC in the form of a 401k with a Roth option. But in other ways that you can do it without having a 401k, if you don't have it established, if you're not self-employed, what you could do is you could do something like Prize Pool. Prize Pool is a service that I use, and I'll have a reference thing somewhere. I haven't decided where. Whee! It's basically an app where they encourage you to save money, and they have like these raffle drawings. My current APY, I think it's around 3-4%, which is way better than putting money in a savings account, because your savings account's got a 0.01% right now, I think. Maybe it'll go up now that interest rates have been going up. But for now, Prize Pool has been great in terms of actually making my sitting money do something. Another way that I've been saving is actually just investing in using the app Robinhood. And there are other ones, and I'll put a reference thingy so we could both get a stock. Anyway, Robinhood is really easy to use. It was one of the first ones out there that was, 0 transaction fees. and it allows like partial shares. So big giant, I don't know what the prices are of Tesla stock these days, or Apple stock. They're quite large, so normally you wouldn't be able to buy that one share of stock if it's so pricey maybe. But by doing this, by using Robinhood or something like it, you can buy a partial stock. So you can buy $100 worth. I just pick a stock I know, company that I think will last long, because that's one of the important things about picking stocks, company stocks specifically, is knowing what you're buying into, I think is critical. Anyway, so what I usually do is I actually just put money into ETFs and REITs and index funds, mostly because I don't really want to deal with it. I just want to put money away and let it grow. And if you look at the stock market, generally it will grow. When I pulled some of the cash out right before COVID, my stocks were doing quite well. Like I think 20% growth from when I first started it. Whatever it is that you're looking to invest, just do some research, look at it. And I'm one of those buy and hold type. This, I believe, is kind of how, what's that famous financial dude's name? It'll come back to me later. And it's important to diversify, which is partly why I like to buy ETFs and REITs and stuff like that and index funds, because I don't have to be concerned with it. ETFs are basically like you buy into a group of stocks that are in the same trade, which is partly why I like index funds and ETFs, because I'm diversifying into a trade. And I like index funds because I can just buy, I want to buy S&P 500. Okay, I'll just buy everything in the S&P 500 by buying an index fund. So that's easy. So it's similar to like, you don't necessarily have all your gigs with the same client, unless it's a labor company. Labor companies are different because technically you're working with a bunch of different companies. So you want to diversify your portfolio like you diversify your work. All this is to say that it is important to save. And the important part of saving, the most important part is that if your money isn't making money on its own, especially with the way inflation rates are these days, then your money is going to be less than what you had before. Your $100 that you put underneath your bed, I hope you don't do that, is going to be worth like, I don't know, $50 in a few years. So if your money isn't growing at the rate of inflation, your money becomes less and less valuable. And right now the current rate of inflation is like 7%, something like that. So if your portfolio isn't growing at least the same as inflation or above, preferably higher, because if it goes higher, then that means at some point you may be able to stop working and just live off the interest rates or the interest money. Also, there's a few different ways. Like I have multiple accounts in different things. I have money that is set aside that's for my rainy day fund. And I have some that is in my bank that I use normally that is easily accessible. And then some I have in, for instance, prize pool that is earning interest while it sits there doing nothing. And I have money in Robinhood where I kind of use it as like a project or goal savings account where I have a goal for where this money is going to go eventually. And eventually I will be selling portions of it to go do something with this goal. And then I have money, again, with my 401ks. I actually have multiples because of my original house gig that I was working at and my personal company's 401k. And this money I let sit and do nothing. The only time I really manage it at all is when I feel like, okay, it's time to sell some and put it into something stable. For example, I had a lot of money that was put in prior to the dot-com bust back in 2001. And as the market went down, I was just working and I was single, so I put in a lot of money into it while the market was going down. And as it kept going down, I was like, all right, whatever, it doesn't matter to me. And because I wasn't retiring anytime soon. And when it went back up, it grew quite a bit because markets go down and they come back up. Usually they go up higher than where they were before at the previous point. And so when it got to a certain point where I'm like, oh, I've seen like maybe 10, 15, 20% growth, I would sell a chunk of it and put it into something like some sort of bond or something a little bit safer. So it grows, but not quite as quickly, or something stable in general, just doesn't grow as quickly, but is more or less likely to take a hit. And that's where you kind of actualize your growth in that way. But I don't do this very frequently. I only do it based on my father's advice. Again, they're the financial people, I'm not. So think of your finances. Think about what you want to do in the future. Do you really want to work in this industry for 20 plus years? It's hard on the body and it's tiring on the mind. If you're in a very high stress environment, it's not great for health, in the mental or physical health. So it's important to think about your future for your body, for your mind, everything, and your retirement. So in your rainy day funds. Anyway, appreciate you. I will see you in the next one.